Hello and welcome, and good afternoon. Chris Princeby, publisher of Financial IT, coming to you live from Money 2020 here in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. An amazing host city and hosting the most amazing event that there is in Europe every year. Everybody that needs to be seen is here. And I'm really thrilled to be here right now with Robin. Robin, how are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. Happy to be in Amsterdam. Fantastic event.
Great, great. Please tell us a little bit about the company.
Sure, yeah. So my name is Robert Anderson. I am head of product management at Tribe Payments. We are an acquirer processing business, an issuer processing business, and a banking services business. So we work with acquirers, issuers, other FI partners to provide technology to allow them to accept payments, issue cards, and move money wherever they're moving it. So we've been around for about 6 years, maybe 7 years coming up to, and we operate. Our core regions are the UK and Europe, but we're expanding into Asia Pacific, and we also have clients in Latin America. And yeah, we're super excited to be at Money 2020 in Amsterdam because it's just such a great event in terms of meeting partners, having those key conversations you need to have. There's been some amazing speakers already. It's only the first day, and there's already been some amazing speakers. So yeah, we're pretty psyched.
Well, it's great. And I got to tell you, I've known about the company, and I love the name Tribe.
Yeah.
Right? And I think in some ways, does the name really speak to what you guys do?
It does in a number of ways, right? So there's the company culture thing. We like to consider ourselves a tribe. And as a result, Tribe Payments just kind of makes sense. But at the same time, when we bring in clients and partners, we tend to see them as one of the tribe as well. So it's a very inclusive thing that we're trying to pull together here. We're not the kind of company that's just gonna sell a product, whether that's acquiring services or issuing services, and walk away. We bring them into the tribe and we try to work with them to kind of help them achieve their goals at the same time as we're achieving ours.
Well, it's interesting. And your remit, I understand, is on the product side.
Correct.
So what are some of the challenges that you have, not only in delivering products, but new products?
So so unlike a lot of processors who tend to focus much more on a single vertical or a single domain, like maybe acquirer processing or issuer processing, because Tribe have quite a broad remit. Some of the challenges are like, how do you make sure that you build an ecosystem that is connected, but also modular enough that these different services can be used independently by clients. Equally, since we like to work with our partners and try to help them get where they're going, managing a roadmap and trying to navigate that path with all the different clients that we have can be quite challenging. But it's also extremely rewarding because it gets me talking to clients all the time. It means I understand what's important to them, and that's just really a big part of the ethos of what Tribe does.
Oh, so it's really interesting. I know from my own background, both in banking and working for some very large financial software companies, that there's always a challenge with aligning product with technology.
Yeah.
How do you manage that challenge internally?
So I think it's a maturity thing, and I think when businesses are starting out, they are very much they're building to order, right? You win a client, so you want to build the thing that they wanted if you don't have it already. So you're sort of always chasing your tail. As businesses mature and as Tribe has matured, instead we focus much more on, okay, client says they want feature X, feature Y, feature Z, right? Moving away from that is more like, okay, but what does that client actually want to achieve? What problem are they trying to solve? What outcome are they trying to get? And spend a lot more time kind of co-creating with clients, because that solves two problems. Like the first problem that it solves is you end up with less bugs, you have more working code, you deliver what the client wanted. And the other benefit to that is you're already thinking about, well, actually, I've built this once, I can resell this. So you're already starting to build out some of that momentum from a product management and a value proposition point of view as you're co-creating.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said. I mean, two things really struck me. One, was, what is the business problem we have to solve? And to me, that's always a key question that gets ignored a lot of
It
times,
does.
right?
It does.
You know, a lot of times it's, oh, we got cool technology and cool functionality, but if you're not solving a business problem,
That's 100% it. And, you know, because we have such a broad range of products across a broad range of domains, the tendency is very much to look at the technology. And, you know, it can sometimes become like a menu in a restaurant. It's like, okay, you want DCC, you want, you know, card controls on the issuing side. I want this, I want that, I want the other. But actually, when you actually start to break it down and try and figure out what that client's trying to do, quite often you come up with something completely unique, and that's where the value is. It sits between those two ideas.
but you know, I love that view that you have on product, and I understand now how Tribe has been able to be successful, because that view is really all about, you know, helping the customer first
Yeah,
with things that give value to their
for sure,
business,
for sure.
right? So with what you're looking to do going forward, what are you expecting from the future and from the future in the industry?
So I think more of the same. But with increased geographic expansion, and you know, a desire for Tribe to kind of start to look at larger and larger clients to work with, that's going to bring new challenges. But we're pretty confident we can solve those challenges in the same way. I don't care if you're a small business or a corporate-sized business, global or local. At the end of the day, when you come to Tribe, you've got a problem you want to solve, or you've got an opportunity that you want to realize, and it kind of doesn't change regardless the size or location you find yourself in. So look, it's more of the same, just in different places and with a different scale of customer.
Well, you see, I like that view, and I would agree, you know, that it's the size of the customer is not really the issue. But on the other side, when you go to different countries, different geographic regions and everything, there's a lot of unique things that
Oh
are in
yeah,
there, and
oh
that
yeah,
becomes
it
more of a
does.
challenge than
It does.
just meeting the client's requirement.
And that's such a balancing act as well, because if you think
Balancing
about
act, yeah.
so because if you think about even like regulatory and compliance, right?
Mm.
You can go one of two ways. You can either build a platform that, you know, you kind of market it as the Lego kit, which is, you know, you can take all these different microservices and you can kind of plug them all together and you can build whatever you like, right? But then clients are going to see that and go, well, if I'm doing that, I might as well just be building it myself, right? Or you can go the other way and build like, you know, fully bundled banking as a service products, you know, payments as a service products that try to abstract away some of that complexity, you know, maybe through a user interface layer or an API layer. But that comes with challenges as well. And it seems like most businesses, they want to get to that place because it sounds really enticing to clients to have this low effort. It just does what it says. You know, you log in, you click on something, a single API to do everything. But the problem with that is that when you come to then, okay, let's take a AML or KYC, right? When you come to audit that, it becomes really difficult because actually the sinews of how those processes are working are hidden beneath the surface. So quite often that auditing capability is lacking. So I think it's really important to strike a balance between those things. Try as much as possible to have a strong user experience value proposition, whilst at the same time providing APIs that are easy enough to use that it doesn't seem burdensome for the client, but also gives them the detail that they need, and it gives them the auditing capability that they need to ensure that something like a KYC or an AML check, in the example that I used, is, you know, that was done correctly, right? Instead of, you know, I guess 20 years ago, we might have, when I first started my career, it might have been like, you know, they do a 10% check or a 50% check on everything that happened. Now, I'm absolutely not advocating for that. What I'm saying is that, you know, if you build your software in a modular enough way and in a way that is strikes a good balance between that usability and that auditability, it makes it a lot easier to build tools that clients and ourselves, frankly, can use to make sure that those things are being done in a compliant way.
You know, Robin, I really appreciated the example that you gave, because what a lot of people fail to understand is how important the audit trail really is.
Yeah.
This is the lifeblood for the regulators.
100%.
Okay, and if you can't do that properly, you're going to have
I agree.
some issues. So let me ask you a little bit about the future. You know, one of the big buzzwords we're hearing here.
AI, right?
You know it.
AI,
You knew I was coming to that.
100%. So look, you told me we were going to ask about the future, right? And I have a particularly strong opinion about AI. I love AI and machine learning. Don't get me wrong. Anyone out there, please don't Twitter bomb me or whatever people do these days. I love AI. I love machine learning. But you can kind of think of it in some ways, particularly in the financial services industry, as the ultimate black box, right? Because let's take fraud screening as an example, right? You effectively outsource all of your transactions to a fraud screening solution that's AI powered, and it's going to reject a bunch of transactions. It's going to accept hopefully a lot more transactions. But if you want to then say, okay, I'm being asked why those transactions are getting rejected, that's something that's really difficult to do with an AI model, because, you know, a lot of the times the patterns and the algorithms is the wrong word, but the patterns and the models that it's using to actually reject these transactions, for example, you can't interrogate them in that way. And so I think that's going to be one of the biggest challenges for financial services in the future as we embrace this new world of AI and machine learning to automate more and more of what happens. I think auditability is actually going to really suffer. And I think it's going to be incumbent on the in the next 3, 4, 5 years for businesses that are implementing some of these tools to ensure that they do what they can to make it as auditable as possible.
Well, you know, Robin, that was really interesting for me, because of course I hear a lot about AI, and to hear somebody who's got a real passion, I mean, you can see it when you talk about it, but to still moderate that with, well, here's what kind of issue, it speaks to your product background. I'm saying one day I'm going to have this problem. I better start thinking about it now.
100%. That's exactly where I'm at right now.
So I got to thank you very much for spending some time with us at Financial IT. Really enjoyed the conversation.
It was my pleasure.
And look forward to hearing more of your success.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thanks, Robin.